We're glad you made time to join us for another edition of News 360 on TV3, also live on DSTV channel 271. My name is Grace Hamwa Ajuman.
Good evening. I am Noble Crosby-Anna. These are the headlines of the bulletin tonight.
News 360 headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal,
EcoBank, Nero Prime Water.
Coming up, President Mahama cut sword for the commencement of the Green City project at Dedisia in the Ashanti region.
In the bulletin tonight, prices of ginger continue to skyrocket, forcing many households and businesses to seek alternatives, including imports from China and neighboring countries.
What should it cost to get a job in Ghana for young women? Tonight, as President Mahama Ignite calls for a new law prohibiting sex for job, we'll look at existing labor laws and find out if a new law is necessary.
And later, ahead of Mother's Day, tomorrow we explore postpartum depression among women and how victims are usually afraid to speak up for fear of judgment or misunderstanding.
We'll bring international news tonight as Russia's President Vladimir Putin uses his annual Victory Day speech in Moscow's Red Square to justify his war in Ukraine and denounce NATO.
We have details of this and more in the next 60 minutes if you stay with us.
Let's start the bulletin from here. Members of Parliament's Select Committee on Lands and Natural Resources are calling for urgent reforms in Ghana's forest protection strategy following a visit to the Nkaria Forest District in the Ashanti region. Now, the committee expressed concern over the growing threat posed by illegal chainsaw operators, illegal mining activities and inadequate staffing within the Forestry Commission.
Illegal logging and galamsey activities continue to destroy Ghana's forest reserves, despite several interventions aimed at curbing the menace. The Parliamentary Select Committee on Lands and Natural Resources observed that the country's long-standing dependence on task forces to combat these activities in the forest has produced little success.
The method we have been using to deal with chainsaw operators, galamsey operators, I'm afraid we may not succeed. Government upon government, the same prescription. And we are not getting the results. So is it not better for us to sit as a country and think of an alternative which probably will give us the results? We need as a country to come together to find a solution to this, because when the last tree dies, the last man dies.
The committee also described the staffing situation within the Forestry Commission as worrying, after learning that only about 60 guards are currently responsible for protecting the over 500 hectares of forest within the Nkaria district.
We have illegal loggers in these forests. We have illegal mining also ongoing in these forests. And the number of atrocities that have been committed on some of these forest guards because of the numbers. We cannot arm them the way that we arm the military. But if the numbers are enough and they patrol in bulk or in drones, they'll be able to ward off some of these miscreants who enter into our forest and degrade the forest in that manner.
The parliamentarians highlighted the need for government to intervene to recruit more personnel to safeguard the country's forest resources.
Forestry Commission is unable to engage more forest guards, but clearly we need more. So we will take this opportunity to appeal to the Minister of Finance to, as quickly as possible, give financial clearance to Forestry Commission. Otherwise, when the last tree dies, the Minister of Finance will die.
The acting Ashanti Regional Manager of the Forestry Commission, Kobna Edubona, said the commission has introduced strategic forest camps in selected reserves as part of renewed efforts to improve surveillance and deter illegal operators.
We have 10 in this country now, which is in pilot basis. We believe that when it works better, we can now extend it to other places, and then we can ward out all the perpetrators that are actually affecting our plantation establishment and actually affecting our forest resources depletion.
Officials say, despite the challenges, intensified operations have helped move some heavily degraded reserves from red zones to more stable conditions, allowing restoration efforts to begin.
Let's remain in the Ashanti region, where President John Dramani Mahama has cut short for the commencement of the Green City project at Dedeswa in the Ashanti region. The project, being undertaken by the State Housing Company, forms part of government's broader effort to improve access to decent and affordable housing across the country.
Ghana's housing deficit is currently estimated at 1.5 million housing units, according to state housing officials. This highlights the urgent need for large-scale and affordable housing interventions across the country. The Green City project, expected to deliver more than 1,000 housing units, adds to a number of government-led initiatives aimed at reducing the country's housing deficit and improving access to decent accommodation.
A total of 1,067 residential units are currently planned, and they are going to be delivered over a 5-year period. Phase 1 of the project will deliver 214 units of 2- and 3-bedroom detached homes, and we expect to be done by the end of Q4 2027.
The initiative, officials say, will not only provide affordable housing, but also stimulate economic activity within the Dedesua enclave through job creation and increased commercial opportunities.
With projections indicating that millions of Ghanaians could face extreme heat conditions in the coming decades, we cannot afford to build in ways that deepen our vulnerabilities. This project represents a different path, one that delivers housing responsibly, sustainably, and with a future in mind.
Speaking at the sword-cutting ceremony, President John Dramani Mahama noted that rapid urbanization continues to place enormous pressure on housing and social infrastructure, making it necessary for government to invest in large-scale housing projects to meet increasing demand.
When we house our people well, we unlock their full potential. The research agenda for housing is deliberate and determined. Step by step, community by community, we are building a future defined not by shortage, but by shared prosperity. The Green City Housing Project is a strong signal of that future. And as we break ground today, let us do so with confidence in our resolve and faith in our collective ability to build not homes, but better lives.
The Green City Project, located within the Bosumtwi district, is expected to feature modern infrastructure, green spaces, road networks, and essential social amenities to create a well-planned and sustainable residential community. Residents and local authorities have welcomed the project, expressing optimism that it will ease accommodation challenges while boosting socio-economic development in the area.
Now, after years of persistent public outcry from residents and commuters, the long-awaited construction of the Jinijine-Sampa Road is finally underway as part of the government's ambitious Big Push initiative. Now, this crucial infrastructure, it aims to address the economic importance of the route, which has faced chronic neglect over the years, significantly impacting the movement of people and the flow of trade in the region. This is a report by Claude Kumi Ebisa.
Residents of Jinijine, Trobo, Sampa and nearby communities have persistently called on the government to address the deteriorating condition of the Jinijine-Sampa Road. This 8-kilometer route is considered a vital economic corridor due to its significant connection to Côte d'Ivoire. Locals contend that the road's poor state has hindered both trade and transportation, adversely affecting economic activities along this crucial stretch.
We have some stalls to rent out, but people are refusing to rent them because of the dust. The dust is worrying us too much.
The road is not good. I think they should do a better job here, because if they feel it here, we will be feeling okay. But the dust and everything is just giving us headache and so forth. So I think they should do better.
I worry said from last year.
We are worried about the state of our road. The riders and drivers are speeding, creating a lot of dust.
But I think I'm saying in sooner I told and the one now my water so in Chama a bad year, but and this affairs now a team can fire so.
Relief has finally arrived with the government Big Push initiative, and construction of the road is underway.
During our first budget, that road was not included, and that prompted me to be on my feet on the floor of Parliament. It was added during the media review and awarded to Messrs. Rango Company Limited. We know the quality of work he's undertaken so far. He is not sacrificing quality for speed. He's moving at an amazing pace. And I remember at our last meeting, he told us that he will start sealing in December 2026. But here we are in May, and sections of the road have been sealed at Fatenta. So I'm very confident he's going to finish on time.
Bono Regional Minister Joseph Adai Akwabwa Esquire, who toured the road and other infrastructure projects in the district, is optimistic the road will be completed.
Just within 1 year.
Look at the state of the road just within 1 year, and big thanks to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Our contractor, continue the good work, and you shall be paid duly.
When completed, the movement of people and trade along the stretch is expected to improve. Claude Kumi Ebisa, TV3 News, Jene, Brekum West, Bono Region.
And tonight, President of the Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs, Obuadenoche King Professor Odaifio Wolenchi III, is demanding full documentation covering a government-acquired land area earmarked for demolition. The stretch, which spans the beachfront from Osu Aneho to the Christian Bowl Castle Enclave, is reportedly inhabited by commercial sex workers. Stanley Nibleu reports.
The area scheduled for demolition stretches from Numugbelenfo, a densely populated slum enclave behind the Osu police station, to the Christian Bowl Castle area. The settlement is populated by a mix of indigents and foreigners who engage in a thriving commercial sex trade, operating from makeshift brothels. The enclave also records some of the worst sanitary conditions in the city, with heaps of refuse dumped in the heart of the settlement. A persistent stench hangs in the air. Government is seeking to reclaim the land as plans advance for the demolition exercise. President of the Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs, Obuadenoche King Professor Odaifio Wolenchi III, Greater Accra Regional Minister Linda Akwele-Oklu, and some government officials visited the site to obtain first-hand information about the scheduled demolition work.
Most occupants here, like me was saying, if we enter now, there's business ongoing here. It's a business place for our night people. And even in the day, business that goes on here. The police have complained about illegal use of drugs. This place holding miscreants and criminals. And the fact that the place had to be demolished. More importantly, it is a state land.
President of the Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs, Obuadenoche King Professor Odaifio Wolenchi III, demanded the provision of full documentation from government covering the land in question for assessment before the commencement of the demolition exercise.
Let us have documents that you have from the government that is 7 acres, 25 acres, or what have you. They all come here together. We use the red paint to mark everywhere where the encroachment is supposed to be. And then people will see by their eyes that I am within it. So if I am being talked to, I should listen, because the law is the law.
Greater Accra Regional Minister Linda Akwele-Oklu and Kwale Klote MP Dr. Zaneto Ajima-Rawlings called for streamlined spatial planning and development across the country to prevent developers from being traumatized by demolition exercises.
We should have a community engagement with the people so that together we can all agree on the scope of damage before they start the exercise.
We're hoping that you can actually embark on an exercise that takes into account the vulnerable in the area, that a fund will be set aside for supporting those who need to be relocated. But I think it's also an important message that we need to all take notice of in terms of how settlements and encroachments occur on state lands, because one can never predict at which point the state will lay claim to the land that settlements have occurred under. So I suppose I'd also use this opportunity to also speak to the various assemblies across the country. When there's encroachment occurring on state lands, please take note and make sure that the regulations and the rules are abided by, because then you prevent the situation where people have settled into a community and now they're being uprooted.
The entourage later engaged victims affected by the Osu-Ari demolition exercise carried out 3 weeks ago. Compensation packages, according to authorities, have been made available. Deputy Local Government Minister Rita Naodolesowa explained.
Baby kakumomani aha menoko ejiyaka asusu aka he no yo esa no hin ojeme she ne wonye wo ha me baba o mo fem na 4000 ehwe meto mo ha ne wonye ko wo ha me wie nani mo fem ana ale ni me ne hwe watashin wo susu he me o ha wo ba sa wo ka meshika ha me ni wo ye he mo ka eliake me pika me to lo lenyumo wo na me ka ya ka ke ha me ame fe ame ba fa me nani bona fe ni 20 ke hejole aba aha wo fe.
When reclaimed, the beachfront is expected to be transformed into a world-class hospitality enclave aimed at creating jobs and boosting tourism. Stanley Niblew, TV3 News, Accra.
Now, prices of ginger continue to skyrocket, forcing many households and businesses to seek alternatives, including imports from China and neighboring countries. The shortage has become so severe that consumers are turning to processed ginger powder, while some sellers are now substituting it with pepper.
5, 1 million, 1.5, 70.
Ginger is commonly used as a spice and at the same time medicinal. Health experts say it helps in digestion, lower blood pressure, cholesterol, as well as helps to manage blood sugar levels. The commodity since the beginning of the year, according to the Ghana Statistical Service, has consistently recorded inflation of over 60%, making it the single most expensive item in the country. In April alone, ginger recorded a year-on-year inflation rate of 68.4%. Our visit to some markets in Accra painted the same story. The commodity is so dear to the extent that traders price it from 20 cedis, attributing it to scarcity. A basket of ginger from Liberia and Nigeria, according to the sellers, goes for 750 cedis, while a sack of imported ginger from China costs 1,700 cedis. The traders say they have no option but to pass on the cost to the consumer.
Ginger used to be in season, but now it is no longer available locally. We source the commodity from China, Nigeria, and Liberia. A sack of ginger now sells for between 5,500 and 5,600 cedis. Ginger has become quite expensive. Ginger is scarce at the moment. It is not locally available. The stock that remains was imported from China.
Ginger is also used in the preparation of some local drinks, including sobolo and lamogene. Due to its high cost, those in such businesses say they had to quit doing that job, while others say they had to increase the price of the drinks.
I stopped because of the prices. Because when you buy, you have to process it. So when you are selling, you have to add the processing costs and then bottling and then packaging. So it becomes expensive for the buyers.
The prices of ginger has been increased, so it has affected the drink I'm doing. So the best thing for me to increase the price I'm used to sell.
Previously, 10 cedis worth of ginger could prepare a whole batch of traditional beer. Now, even 50 cedis worth of ginger cannot produce the same quantity of locally brewed beer. This is taking a toll on my profits. I sell each bottle of lamogene for 15 cedis, but if a consumer requests extra ginger concentrates, I increase the price by 5 cedis.
Some of these business people have also resorted to other alternatives, such as pepper. Some customers complained about the price hikes.
Previously, that alone I'm talking about is 150 or 200 cedis. But now she says it's 350 cedis. I think it's too much.
I don't buy the fresh one nowadays because it's expensive. So I buy the dry one. I use it for my eye.
One is 5 cedis. So what are you going to use it for? People now prefer the powder one, and that one, it has some chemicals. So if you are buying few pieces, you just have to use onions to blend it out from the blender.
Meanwhile, reports have revealed that ginger farmers are battling crop diseases. It is unclear when ginger would become abundant in the market. And so, while waiting, just prepare to continue paying more for it. Beatrice Soa, TV3 News, Accra.
Let's do some other stories now. The journey from peak physical strength to battling for survival is becoming an all too familiar reality for many young men struck by sudden kidney failure. For Lucius, once admired for his extraordinary strength on national television, life has taken a painful and unexpected turn. The former contestant of Ghana's Strongest is now fighting a battle far greater than any competition arena. A battle against end-stage kidney failure.
The first thing one noticed about Lucius today is the dramatic change in his once powerful physique. The man, who once inspired many with his masculine build, now appears frail and exhausted, weakened by months of intensive treatment. In 2017, Lucius represented Ghana's northern region in Ghana's Strongest, earning admiration across the country for his remarkable strength and determination. But for the past 6 months, his life has revolved around dialysis sessions after doctors diagnosed him with kidney failure. The man, who was once the backbone of his family, is now relying on the support of loved ones just to survive.
As I said, it's very frustrating because these days, even there are certain things I would just like to walk a short distance, then you can't. So sometimes, and even you go to town, people don't recognize you. You are there, then everything is just backwards.
Just 3 years ago, Lucius could deadlift over 250 kilograms with ease. Today, even basic daily activities have become a struggle.
So when I was strong in the competition, I could pick about 250 kg, but and I could walk a distance too. But now, even a short distance is good. Even 1 kg, 0 kg, I can't lift it.
He describes the emotional and physical toll of the illness as devastating and frustrating. For his wife and family, the situation has been equally heartbreaking.
Knowing him to be once Ghana's Strongest and the kind of things he used to lift, very strong and energetic. And then waking up in the morning to see that even a cup of water, he cannot lift it to drink. It's hard, it's worrying, and it worries my heart. Things that he could easily do that he cannot do now. He sometimes hold a food to eat. It's a problem.
The financial burden of regular dialysis and the uncertainty surrounding his condition continue to weigh heavily on the household. Doctors say Lucius' best chance of survival is a kidney transplant, a procedure that comes at a cost far beyond the family means. Yet, despite the pain and uncertainty, Lucius remains hopeful that help will come and that one day he can reclaim his life.
The option that is available now is a kidney transplant. And then that will cost me about $55,000 US, which will be in India. And so now I'm appealing for funds to be able to run this kidney transplant so I can restore my health back. As soon as I can come back, I'll go back and do my daily activities. So appealing to the general public to be generous towards me and then open their hearts and make some full contributions towards me.
So for someone who could lift about 250 kg and now cannot even lift a cup of water, it's not only sad, but heartbreaking. He's appealing to Ghanaians, a touching story out there, to support him. There is still hope once he gets the $55,000 US for the kidney transplants.
And the 3 Foundation is always open. Anybody who is touched by the story can visit 3 Foundation and donate to help a brother there. To some other stories tonight. What should it cost to get a job in Ghana today? For some women, it's not just their CVs being assessed, but uncomfortable and sometimes inappropriate demands. President Mahama, he in a recent engagement called for tougher laws against what many describe as sex for jobs. But are the laws already there, and is a new law necessary? Safo Boahin takes a closer look.
You've done the schooling, passed the exams, you sure are prepared, but somewhere between the interview and the offer, the rules change. For many young women entering the job markets, the challenge of navigating unfair and at times exploitative demands has become an unfortunate reality they must face.
I remember he looked at my CV and smiled, then said I should sit and write a new one, right there. Not the one on paper, but one that could convince him. I didn't understand at first, until he said I had the job, but I should be nice to him. In that moment, I just felt helpless. Like everything I worked for didn't matter anymore.
President Mahama's comments made in a recent engagement have reignited conversations about so-called sex for jobs, a practice many say exists but is rarely reported. He believes stronger legal backing could help bring it to an end.
I know that up to now, a lot of our girls face a lot of discrimination when they're looking for a job. And one of the worst things, and I think that we should pass a bill to make it very punishable, is that sometimes if the employer or the person responsible for employing is a male, they demand some romantic relationship before they give them jobs. And if anybody does that, there should be a law that deals with them very strongly.
So, does Ghana's legal system already deal with this? Human rights lawyer Benedict Akita helps unpack the legal protections and gaps surrounding this.
We have several provisions under our laws, starting from the Constitution, which criminalizes discriminations on gender and even economic discrimination. So in that sense, you can come under discrimination, but there isn't a specific law that penalizes sex for jobs. But when you look at the language of those provisions, it's situating it within the contract of work, of employment. So for most girls who are coming, they may be people just coming to look for work, national service persons, interns, etc. They may not have a contract by then, but then you conditioned you giving them the contract based on trading for sex. So it means that strictly when you look at it, those group of persons will not be really covered by the Labor Act.
She also points to the need for greater awareness and guidance so people can recognize when boundaries are crossed and feel empowered to speak up and report it. Also, attention is turning to stronger enforcement and possible reforms to close existing gaps.
We have so many laws which have enforcement issues. So I don't think that having a whole bill to deal with sex for work jobs is what we need. we need to operationalize our laws. Apart from our own laws, we've signed on to other international treaties, which we have to operationalize. So we could start by amending some of our laws to incorporate those provisions.
For many advocates, the focus is not only on punishment, but also on creating safe, fair workplaces where qualifications, not coercion, determine opportunity. Safa Boyne, TV3 News, Accra.
You're watching News 360. We have more stories for you after this break. Please don't go away.
Why are more and more professionals choosing Flamingo paint?
Flamingo paint has great hiding ability to cover and transform old walls easily with just one coat.
Now, the UN Health Agency also says the outbreak is not the start of a pandemic like COVID 6 years ago, because this Hantavirus strain spreads through close, intimate contact. But given the incubation period of this disease, which can be up to 6 weeks, it is possible more cases may be reported, the World Health Organization said. The cruise ship Ocean-Wide Expedition said in a statement that 114 guests and 61 crew members from 22 countries boarded the vessel, but 32 guests disembarked at St. Helena on 24th April. About 150 passengers and crew from 28 countries are reported to have initially been aboard the vessel, but dozens got off on the island of St. Helena on April 24. Well, back here in Ghana, the Ghana Health Service has dispelled any fears of the outbreak in Ghana. But as countries race to find traces of the virus to contain it, the public is beginning to ask questions about Ghana's preparedness for an outbreak. Dr. Asidu Bekwe is Director of Public Health with the Ghana Health Service, joining us for some more on this. Doc, thank you for joining us. Good evening to you. My first question obviously will be, how prepared is Ghana's health system to, number one, detect, and then number two, respond to rare infectious diseases like the hantavirus?
Okay, thank you very much, and good evening to your listeners and viewers. Let me first state that this is an outbreak which is, I would say, localized around the cruise ship. For Ghana, we did a release basically to make sure that we inform Ghanaians of that situation that is occurring. And before that, we had actually even met our port health officials at the seaport, the land port, and then also on the ground. And then we did the release clearly to alert Ghanaians of what is supposed to happen. So if you look at our preparedness along the various thematic areas, the idea is that do you have the capacity to suspect and to confirm? And I will say, yes, for now, for confirmation's sake, we can actually confirm the suspected case in the Gucci. And even cases here, our reference lab also has the capacity. So what we did today in particular is to make sure that we try to finalize our case definition, which will guide clinicians to actually suspect. Because you see, if you look at the clinical presentation, it's more of a very non-specific systemic condition. So it will be a bit more difficult, less well guided before you suspect the case. So the idea is that we need to guide clinicians to take more detailed history to suspect. And if you suspect, then in that case, you're going to send the sample to Noguchi. And then we also look at, can the cases be managed in our facilities? And I say yes, because if you, assuming the case you come from Accra, we can manage them in our Ghana Infectious Disease Center or Kolbu Infectious Center or any of our infectious disease centers that we have. So in terms of detection, in terms of confirmation, in terms of, I would say, management, I think we have the capacity to do it. I need to state that Ghana in 2026 is much different from Ghana 2020.
Could you make that point again, that last point? Ghana's what?
I think Ghana in 2026
right.
is very much different from Ghana 2020. That was before the COVID. I mean, but COVID has given us a lot of capacities, which makes us better prepared now.
That's good to know. My last question to you, Doc, will be this, that we know that this may travel far and wide, but in terms of preventive measures, what immediate preventive measures should we adopt to protect ourselves and our families, granted that this is nowhere near us at the moment?
Yeah, so if you look at our release, clearly, you see, the disease is mainly from the rodent to man, and very minimum from man to man. So the idea is that where do you get the rodents? And that's how come we need to focus on sanitation improvement. And I think it's one thing that for Ghanaians, it's not just about hantavirus. We need to see how we can improve on our sanitation. The other issue is that your household, are you keeping leftover food? How are you covering them? Those are things that we need to improve so that we minimize the infiltration of the rodents into our household. Then we also need to make sure that we are improving on our hand washing, soap and running water. Then if you have areas that you think that there are a lot of rodents, and then you need to do cleaning. To make sure you are wearing hand gloves, make sure that you are wearing mask, because when you inhale the viruses from the urine or the droppings of these rodents, you can get them. So the issue is more of improving our sanitation in our homes, in our environment, to minimize the risk of the virus.
But we are adequately prepared to respond when it happens. Thank you so much, Dr. Bekwe. Dr. Sidu Bekwe is the Director of Public Health at the Ghana Health Service, speaking to us there.
Let's talk women's health now. And motherhood is often celebrated as one of life's happiest journeys. But behind the joy, many people see some mothers quietly battle emotional pain after childbirth. This Mother's Day, Christabel Success-Trevor explores postpartum depression, a condition mental health experts say many women experience silently, often afraid to speak up for fear of judgment or misunderstanding.
Motherhood, a joyful beginning and a blessing worth celebrating. But behind the smiles, congratulatory messages and baby photos, some mothers silently struggle emotionally after childbirth. Mental health experts say there is another side of motherhood many people rarely talk about: postpartum depression. Experts explain that some mothers experience overwhelming sadness, anxiety, emotional exhaustion, and isolation after delivery. Yet, because of stigma and fear of judgment, many women suffer in silence. Anita, not her real name, agreed to share her experience but asked not to appear on camera. After giving birth to her first child, she says what was expected to be a joyful moment gradually became emotionally overwhelming. She says she was constantly exhausted, emotionally disconnected, and unusually sad for weeks after delivery. At first, Anita believed it was simply stress from adjusting to motherhood. But as the days passed, even basic daily activities became difficult. Eventually, with support from her husband and loved ones, she began to recover. So what exactly is postpartum depression?
It's right from pregnancy and then up to about a year after the woman has delivered. Once a woman becomes pregnant, there are hormonal changes. And these hormonal changes can be a risk factor coupled with other environmental and what we call psychosocial factors that the woman may experience and lead to depression. You know, when a woman is pregnant or delivers, the general assumption is that this is a period of joy. But what happens in postpartum depression is that they are unable to experience that joy. They are unable to even connect with the child the way they are supposed to connect. And sometimes it becomes difficult for others around them to understand.
Mental health experts estimate that about 1 in every 5 to 6 women experience postpartum depression. They warn that if left untreated, the condition can affect a mother's well-being, relationships, and ability to cope with everyday life. Experts also stress that emotional support from partners, family members, and close friends during the postpartum period is crucial for recovery.
Societal expectations can contribute to somebody not speaking up or not seeking help, because what will people say about me? Sometimes even when the mother speaks up, the people around them may not agree that we need to go and seek help, because how can we tell people that my wife isn't happy after giving birth? Postpartum depression is treatable. Once a mother comes out, once we are able to pick up that this person is depressed, there are medications that this mother can take. We have therapy that the mother can go through, not just the mother, but their husband, their family, to know how best to assist such a mother.
Surprisingly, experts say men can also experience postpartum depression after the birth of a child.
Some fathers also, after their wives have given birth, can also go through a lot of stress, which may lead to depression in the men. So it is important that as much as we are paying attention to women, we also do pay some attention to the man.
Some people I spoke to believe more attention must be given to mothers' mental health after childbirth.
When a woman is giving birth, the pain is equal to, is it 45 of your bones, of the bones breaking at the same time. So just look at, imagine what a person is going through at that moment. So once she gives birth, she needs that emotional support from her husband.
Tell her how she's feeling so that they can take immediate step for her.
Emotionally, they go through a lot, even psychologically. So I think that they need all the support that is needed. We have to give it to the women so that at the end they'll be able to function well after birth. Men also need that support as well, because you see, in and out, they also go around, make sure that the woman is fine through those processes. No, now the system is hard.
This Mother's Day, beyond the flowers, gifts and celebrations, mental health professionals are encouraging families to pay closer attention to mothers, because sometimes the women carrying everyone else are quietly carrying emotional pain of their own. Christabel Success Trevor, TV3 News, Accra.
And a happy Mother's Day in advance to all mothers and mother figures out there. Now, PZ Cousins, through its Cousins Baby brand, has donated essential baby care items to newborn mothers at the Tema General Hospital. The products, known for promoting baby hygiene, skin care and comfort, were presented as part of the company's commitment to maternal and child health. Management say the gesture is also intended to bring relief and joy to new mothers ahead of Mother's Day.
Driven by its focus on baby care and family well-being, PZ Cousins, through its Cousins Baby brand, reached out to mothers and newborns at the Tema General Hospital with a donation of essential care products. Speaking on the sidelines during the presentation, the category manager for PZ Cousins, Clara Oforiedu, explained that the initiative forms part of effort to promote healthy child care practices.
Cousins Baby, one of our commitments is to make sure that the motherhood journey is being taken through pride and joy, so you don't hustle. So we take care of the solutions and the formulations, very mild formulations that will take care of the baby's delicate skin. And so if you're a new mom out there and you are wondering what product I should use for my baby, Cousins Baby has the solution for you.
Receiving the donation on behalf of the hospital and the mothers, the medical director of Tema General Hospital, Dr. Ralph Amma, noted that the donation goes a long way in ensuring proper care for both mother and child after delivery.
What they have done would help us take very good care of patients within our facility and also ease our bed space within our facility so that beds are made available. Beyond that, they sorted out some of these patients, and we're grateful for the packages and we're grateful for the gifts that they gave. And we hope that this will not be a one-time thing because of the Mother's Day activity that is coming, but it will be a long-term collaboration and partnership with them in this area.
As Mother's Day approaches, the gesture highlights the growing role of corporate organizations in supporting maternal and child well-being while celebrating the resilience and sacrifice of mothers.
Sports is coming up shortly. Stay with us.
I'm Aniela Alote. We start off with the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup qualifiers. The Black Princesses of Ghana have made the qualification after defeating Uganda 3-2 on aggregate in the final round of the African qualifiers. 3 Sports' Akoti Ij brings us this explainer.
A 3-2 aggregate score in Kampala means that the Black Princesses of Ghana have successfully qualified for their 8th consecutive U20 Women's World Cup. The team had a bye in the first round, but in the second round, they saw off Tunisia before pairing up with South Africa, whom they saw off as well. In today's game in Kampala, the Princesses had to chase Uganda as they were down by an early own goal that was scored by Precious Asante. But in the second half, Linda Owusu-Ansah came on strong through a set piece to keep Ghana level and give the Princesses the opportunity to make their 8th consecutive appearance at the World Cup. This time, it will be hosted in Poland. But for the Princesses, qualification has never been an issue because from 2010, they have always made it to the tournament. The big question now is, will their 8th time be the first time they qualify out of the group stage?
Staying on the Black Princesses of Ghana, head coach Charles Sampson has delivered on his aim to qualify the team for the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup to be played in Poland. Now, following the qualification, Coach Sampson has explained the team's strategy and resilience.
The first half was very tough for our girls. Physically, we were a bit beaten, but then resilience was there. I saw them in the second half, they were almost broken, so I had to encourage them and let them believe that we are still in the game, and it's only 1-0 and we need 1 goal to be able to have the advantage. They should believe in it and continue pushing. Then we did some 2 changes, and I think they made a difference. It's difficult to say, but the plan was that we know that Uganda will go offensive, so we also wanted to counter them with offensive. So we brought in offensive players to be able to use the laterals. Unfortunately, the ball was not on the floor, so we couldn't get those combinations that we needed. And Uganda looked stronger in the first half, but then we came with resilience.
That was Coach Charles Sampson there explaining how the team won 3-2 on aggregate, and especially in this round. Heading over now to game week 36 of the English Premier League, Chelsea put an end to their recent losing streak after snatching a 1-1 draw against Liverpool. Manchester City certainly keeping Arsenal on their toes. Well, that's how we wrap up sports here on News 360. I am Aniela Alote. Up next is international news.
Well, let's do international and go on the international front briefly.
Vladimir Putin has used his annual Victory Day speech in Moscow's Red Square to justify his war in Ukraine and denounce NATO. Speaking in front of hundreds of military personnel, the Russian president said he was fighting a just war called Ukraine, an aggressive force that is being armed and supported by the whole bloc of NATO. His remarks come amid muted celebrations across Russia to mark the nation's biggest national holiday, commemorating the Soviet Union's victory over Nazi Germany. Ahead of the celebrations curtails the security reasons amid fears of Ukrainian attack, Russia and Ukraine agreed to observe a 3-day ceasefire announced by U.S. President Donald Trump on Friday. Following the parade, Russia's defense ministry accused Ukraine of breaking the ceasefire without providing details. Ukraine did not immediately comment. For the first time in years, no armored vehicles or ballistic missiles featured in Moscow's Victory Day parade. But under tightened security, military personnel marched in droves across Red Square.
Well, that's it for our package by way of News 360 tonight. I'm Grace Hamuajuman.
I am Noble Crosby Anan.
Don't forget that the Telecel Ghana Music Awards happening tonight. It will be live on TV3. And so make sure you're joining us and having all the fun and also rooting for your artist. Who's going to win Artist of the Year tonight?
Well, it's a tough battle.
Okay.
People say medical, others think
Wendy
Black
Shea.
Sherry, Wendy Shea. A lot of them. Dinah Hamilton. Who wins?
We'll see how it goes.
Yes. Bye-bye.